Shalom. Before I begin, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, El-Shai, Ba'ashem, HaKadosh, and double honor to the apostles, elders, great millstone, and Shalom to the Akim teaching his word. Throughout the four corners in truth, sincerity. I'm back with another lesson. Do spirit by Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Ashallah, when it's edifying to the elect. And the topic of this lesson, as you can see from the article, it's low in this lesson, not too long, just a quick, update. Wars and rumors of wars. It says new intelligence, and this is from endtimeheadlines.org. It says new intelligence reveals Israel preparing possible strike on Iranian nuclear facilities. Right? This is very major. This is a very major, because we know that it's going to say the least of the flock shall draw them out, and we know that the U.S. supports. We know that the U.S. supports. Israel. All right, so whatever Israel does, and if Israel ends up being in some sort of conflict, we know that the United States is gonna support them. All right, and continue reading the article. Says the U.S. has obtained a new intelligence suggesting that Israel is making preparations to strike Iranian nuclear facilities, even as the Trump administration has been pursuing a diplomatic deal with Tehran. Multiple U.S. officials familiar with the latest intelligence told CNN such a strike would be a brazen break with President Donald Trump. U.S. official says it could also risk tipping off a broader regional conflict in the Middle East, something the U.S. has sought to avoid since the war in Gaza inflamed tension beginning in 2023. So, as you can see, things in the Middle East are gonna constantly, rise, and all hell's about to break loose. Okay, meaning World War 3. All right, where nations like Iran and the United States and Russia, and even China is gonna come and shoot nukes at America. All right, the stage, all right, is being set. Okay, you don't read things like this and think that, no way is gonna happen. All right, there's a reason why the Lord is causing it to happen. They say it's to be a sign, okay, for His return. This is Matthew 24, when Yahushua was, speaking, to the disciples. This is Matthew 24:3, and He sat upon the Mount of Olives. The disciples came unto Him privately. As He sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto Him privately, saying, "Tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of Thy coming and in the end of the world?" Right? So, because the disciples, they hasten the return of Yahushua, because when the Yahushua returns, that's when the kingdom of Yashar Allah, okay, which is Israel, to be set up. Right? They hasten the kingdom the same way how we hasten the return of Yahushua. The disciples were in the same spirit. All right. It says, and Yahushua answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am of Mashiach, and shall deceive many. You're gonna have a lot of false saviors deceiving our people, okay, leading our people astray from the truth. Okay, like you see now with these different camps teaching false doctrines. All right. It says, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye not be troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So, we see articles like this. These are wars and rumors of wars, but it says it's not yet. So these things will come to pass. All right. They will come to pass. This is Revelation 9 and 12. It says, one woe is past, and behold, there come two woes more hereafter. Right? You have World War I, you have World War II. Now we're coming into World War III, and you even have nations now saying that we're already in World War III. It just hasn't gone nuclear yet. All right. So, hey, we're living in those times where all hell is about to break loose. These nations are gonna come up against each other, and there's gonna be, the time for Israel. Okay. The Israelites, the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, it's about to be time for us to rule. And this is, good news when we see articles like this, especially dealing with Israel, okay, knowing what the scriptures say, and Jeremiah, it's like it. Jeremiah 50:45, it says, "Therefore hear ye the counsel of the Lord Yahweh, that he had taken against Babylon." Babylon is talking about America today, right? Not ancient Babylon, but America today. It says that his purpose, that he had purpose against the land of the Chaldeans. Another word, okay, for representing America. America represents the land of the Chaldeans, right? It could represent Babylon. It could represent Sodom and Gomorrah. All right. It says, read it again. "Therefore hear ye the counsel of the Lord Yahweh, that he had taken against Babylon, and his purposes that he had proposed against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them." So, whatever Israel, or when Israel gets, Israel's gonna drag, okay, America, into a war. All right. Cause World War 3. Okay, same way how the Lord is gonna drag the Russians, okay, into war, okay, with America, to show you how the Lord is, controlling, the minds of these so-called, these kings, these presidents, okay, these different nations. All right, this is Isaiah 13:4. "The noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of the nations gathered together. The Lord Yahweh of hosts mustered the host of the battle." Okay, he mustered the host of the battle. All right, now let's get that in the blue letter, because the Lord is in control at all times. It says, to attend, to muster, to appoint, to look after, care for, to attend, to seek, to visit, to punish, assign, to appoint, okay, to be appointed, to set over. All right. So the Lord is appointing, okay, the battle. All right. He's setting up the stage. You got the Euphrates River drying up, right, in the Middle East. Okay, setting up that battlefield for World War 3. Okay. Joel, the 3rd chapter. And the second, I'm start at 1. It says, "For behold, in those days and in that time, when they shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem." So the Lord's going to take us out of our captivity. We're not going back into captivity. The Lord's going to restore us as a nation. Okay. But it's starting now by taking down these other nations. All right, taking out East, starting with, taking out Esau, Edom, mainly because, he's in the one in the power seat. But ultimately taking out all these nations, man. Okay, the Lord gave us the truth, gave us the understanding. The Lord is, what's the word I'm looking for? The word is, basically causing, prophecy to come to pass. All right, he's accomplishing what he said he would accomplish. But it started now. All right. So when Esau, Edom gets taken down, that's when, we're going to be restored. All right. But you can see it. Okay. Babylon is not, the superpower or the power it used to be. Or even the condition, even how people are living is not how it used to be. Showing that there has been a decline. Okay. With the people, with America, because back then nations would even try to come up against America. But now you have nations, because they have nuclear capabilities, ultimately through the Lord giving them that power, Salakia, my phone shut off. But as I was saying, okay, about the Lord giving these nations the nuclear capabilities to ultimately shoot nukes, okay, at America. That's the end goal Okay, you see wars and rumors of wars is ultimately to shoot nukes at America and take down these nations, because these nations are going to be shooting nukes at each other. But the main, the main spot where those nukes is going to fly to is here in Babylon. All right, let's go to Jeremiah 50, where it says, "All ye that have been above," Jeremiah 50 and 14. It said, well, I'm gonna start at 13. It says, "Because of the wrath of the Lord Yahweh, it shall not be inhabited," right? Because the amount of nukes, that's going to be shot here in America is going to be a very large number. Or I should say, the amount of warheads is going to be shot here. All right. So America is going to be a 200 million. Okay, according to Revelation 9, 200 million warheads will touch down. Okay, in America, that's why it's going to be desolate. Okay, and not inhabited. It shall not be inhabited. This should be wholly desolate. Everyone that goeth by Babylon shall be astonished and hiss at her plagues. Now let's go into that word, holy. All right, right quick. And that word holy. It says call, right? Like call, right? Like call Akim. All. You see that all. So all of Babylon, all of America is going to be made desolate. All right, it says, "Put yourselves in array against Babylon round about, all ye that bend the bow. Shoot at her, spare no arrows, for she had sinned against the Lord Yahweh." All those arrows are not talking about. Those arrows are not talking about actual arrows. They're talking about, again, the nukes, man. Those missiles. All right. A precept for that is 2 Esdras 16 and 13. It says, "For strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow. His arrows that he shooteth are sharp and shall not miss when they begin to be shot into the ends of the world." So what weapon, can be shot into the ends of the world? It's not talking about, obviously it's not talking about an actual arrow. Okay, nobody's that strong to shoot no arrow, across into the ends of the world. Okay, they even call, the missiles that they have ICBM, intercontinental ballistic missiles. Okay, they have the ability to travel from one country or one continent to the other. All right. This is the weapon that's going to be used. Because World War III is not going to be, a long, war. It's not going to be 10 years, 20 years. No, World War III is going to be rather quick. Because like it's in Revelation 18 and 10, it says, "Standing at last." I want to start at 8. It says, "Therefore shall her plagues come in one day." Let me see. Or she says, "Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is the Lord power who judges her." So this is the judgment of Yahweh Ba'ashim. So when you have people coming up against us, saying, "Why are you saying this about Babylon?" This is in the Bible. This is out of the scriptures. This is not us. This is not us speaking out of our own opinion, because it's not about our opinion. All right, the Lord put the Spirit on us to say these things, to speak about the prophecies, to speak about what's to come. All right. And it says, Revelation 18 and 9, "And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and have deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning." So these nations that got rich off of her, primarily China, they're gonna lament, for Babylon, because again they made money off of America. America's, they call Americans consumers anyway. So of course they're gonna bewail her, because they're not gonna be able to benefit and live, or benefit from make profit, from America. And it says, "Standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, the great city Babylon." And when you read the scriptures, it's not gonna say America. It's not gonna say Russia. All right. It's not gonna say China. Trump be saying China, right? It's not gonna say America. It's gonna say Babylon. It's gonna say Gog, land of Magog. All right. It says, "That mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come." So again, World War III is not gonna be no long. Sloggy. I have received a phone call. But as I was saying, you know, war with these not gonna be no long war. It says in 1 hour. Okay, the destruction of America is gonna be done in 1 hour. The destruction from the nations will be done in 1 hour. 1 hour. Okay, it's gonna be by these different nations, with these nukes. Okay, but with that alone, this quick lessons edifying. I'm gonna give all pieces to Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shah Bashem, Makar Kodash, and the bar in the city apostles and elders, great millstone, Shalom to the eye, keep teaching his word, throughout the four corners, and show sincerity. Shalom.